Hello, and welcome back to Filter Optional. I'm Chico West, and I'm the no filter.
And I'm Shannon West, and I am the filter.
Yes, you are. You've been the filter in my life for now 24 years.
Yes.
And counting.
Yes, I have.
It's crazy. This week, our episode isn't on this. I wanted to do it, but you came up with something else. But
what?
This week is HOCO for our sophomore in high school. And I remember growing up, it was never the way it was.
I know.
Back in the 80s. The 80s were good times going to high school then, but
HOCO
was not.
Homecoming was the football game and then a dance in the gym, after, and that's about it.
But there wasn't these ask and, having to make something
the
cheesy
posters
with the poster with
yes.
some kind of candy.
Then now there are buses and party buses and
yes.
after parties and
people are laminating. The moms. People that make moms make a killing. I think it's a racket.
Well,
and
but
I would have never worn. Maybe I can't say never. I probably might have been like sheep, worn that stupid thing on the arm that the boys do.
Yeah. I mean, they have a parade.
Yes.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and lots is going on this week. And when I tell people, oh my gosh, I can't do that. It's homecoming week. I think some people look at me like I have three heads. Like, why is homecoming week so busy for you?
Yes.
Why is it so busy for you?
But it's busy for
so
everybody.
Crazy.
You see it on social
football
media.
Team dinners
yes.
and the parade and it's the fundraiser for the PTA. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
It is, and it's crazy how much it's changed over the years because we didn't have these big asks. I got a little ask. I'd be a dum-dum if you didn't go to HOCO with me, and they'd give you dum-dums.
Yes.
It's just like, it's over the top.
It is.
Several times back, our sophomore in high school went and helped his buddies for the ask.
Yeah, this year
it wasn't just
he's one of the only ones with a driver's license, and so he's been chauffeuring everybody around, asking their dates to homecoming.
And then there's pictures of the ask, and then there's pictures of the moms, and then there's pictures of the parade, and then there's going to be pictures for the dance on Saturday night.
Yes.
So we're not going to talk about that because that already wears me out.
Wears you out.
You are doing a lot more.
Yes.
But it kind of goes with our topic.
It does.
In a weird kind of
it does
crazy way. But the deal is, I love talking about this. Maybe we'll wear ourselves out. We did have Rob, who works with us at Casa Colina, give us an idea right before coming in here on a topic, how to fight fair in marriage.
Yeah, we're not going to do that right now.
What's healthy fighting. So we love ideas. We're going to do that episode here soon.
Yes.
But then if you have any other episodes...
We've got to get in a fight and then write it down.
or call Kevin in the middle of the fight and get him...
show research.
Hold on, yes.
But the deal is, I say that because we have our Facebook page that you might be watching this on, or you can do the same thing on iTunes under Filter Optional. You can give us comments and tell us what you would like for us to discuss.
Sure, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, because I think a lot of mental health is, isn't it Mental Health Awareness Month, or it was Mental Health Awareness Week in October?
It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
I know, but everything has to share months now, Chico.
Because there's so many awarenesses.
Yes.
It's like over the top.
Yes. My mom is a 30-year survivor, so I am well aware of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But let's go.
Susan B. Coleman walk is Saturday.
Can you quit derailing? You're totally derailing. We're going to talk about
mental health,
but we're not going to talk about ADD today, which we should, because you're completely all over the map. But we're going to talk about codependency again.
Yes.
So we've done 2 episodes, and I kept getting feedback. Oh, talk more about that, because I think it's kind of a buzzword in the mental health world. And I suffer from it. Okay, so my name is Shannon, and I am a codependent in recovery.
Yes, and I think you can be, but I think the deal is, in some ways, when you talk about codependency, naturally, especially moms, women, are codependent. They're in there to help, to navigate, to manage kids, manage the household. In some ways, that is codependent. What I wish I had a dry erase board right here. I think there's degrees on the spectrum.
Right.
And yes, I like that you take ownership in your codependency. I think all of us are codependent. It's when it gets out of whack that I think, just like a lot of people, you're talking about mental health awareness.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with depression, but people aren't clinically depressed.
Right.
That don't need
Well, they
medication.
don't know why.
Or,
they don't know why. They may not even have anything really
Well, it
going
might be
on in their
situational.
life. Situational. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, or seasonal.
Seasonal, circumstantial. But here's my thing. So, I started October. If you listen to our other podcast, I decided on October 1st that I was going to do something every day to take care of myself, to try to develop a habit of taking care of myself, because in addiction, in the 12 steps and everything, they teach one day at a time. I mean, it's one day at a time. And now I can really, truly, I think everyone, no matter who you are or what you have going on, can benefit from one day at a time living, because you have to start your morning intentionally thinking about how you are going to make the day the best day for you possible. And so I decided in October I was going to do that, and I did that. I started that in a month where we are so busy. I mean, we have your birthday, Texas OU, homecoming, lots of travels. We have lots going on that requires me to.
But can I pause
Yes.
real quick? And I agree. We got a lot, but there's other months, May, December, and December. I mean, there's a lot of months. I don't want to get focused so much on October, but I like
No, I
that
don't
you
either.
you've done taking care of self.
That's what I'm doing.
And with codependency.
Let me finish, because
okay.
I'm focusing on the fact that I started October 1st, and now it's in the 20s of October. I don't know exactly what day it is, but so we're almost getting to the end of October, and my little experiment is not going to be over, because I've realized that I still have to live intentionally day by day, making decisions that won't have me spiraling with codependency. Okay, for example, so with addiction, okay, substance abuse. So you have to decide every day to not drink or use drugs. And if you did, I can't understand what would go through your head. Why are you laughing?
Yeah, if you did, it would be a shit show. Is
Well,
what I was
yes,
thinking.
that's why you're laughing. Yes, but in my head, I can't fathom what would happen to your brain if you did that. If you relapse today, I have no idea what direction that would take you in. Whether it would send you into depression, obviously, maybe homelessness. I mean, whatever. I mean, you could lose everything. But I think people need to realize that if I don't check my codependency, it pulls me down into depression and anxiety and panic attacks and worry.
That's crazy, because that's what I was thinking before. Is that's what happens. Those are the characteristics, the traits with people when their codependency is out of control. Is that panic attacks?
Yes.
It's like, we know anxiety is real, but a lot of the anxiety, if we take it back, I think is rooted a lot of times in that codependency, in that sense of, is codependency a disease, a mental health disease?
Right.
I say yes. Some people won't say yes.
Right.
But I say it is a disease. It is a disease because it's similar to the disease of addiction. You become restless, irritable, discontent.
Yes, yes.
And so what do you do?
It's so similar, because when if I were to say, okay, so for example, last night, So we had a tornado in our area, and the path went through the football stadium where we play our homecoming football game. And I'm not going to get bogged down too much in this, Chico, so don't interrupt me. But so the tornado goes right through the path, and there's no electricity at the stadium where we are to play our homecoming game on Friday night. And because of my involvement with the school and athletics and the football team, everyone is coming to me going, what are we going to do? Are we going to have a game? Are we going to have a game? And so behind the scenes, there has been so much on my plate. As far as, because I'm the communicant. And so I have to get all the communication out on email, on Facebook, and everything else. And people are losing their minds. So it's not my fault that people are losing their minds, but they get immediate pictures of the tornado. They get immediate, information about everything. And they want immediate information about all of this stuff that can't be immediately given. So I expressed to you last night how it was giving me, my codependency was kicking up because I did feel responsible for getting the information out and trying to help people ease their minds, that there's going to be a game on Friday. It's going to be okay. And in the midst of it, I'm getting stressed out because I'm feeling codependent for these people that have lost their homes. I mean, for heaven's sakes, everybody needs to calm down about a football game because people have lost their homes. And so
can I pause
I
you?
said to you, this is stressing me out. And you said, how come? Help me understand why this stresses you out and why you feel responsible for that. And do you want to interject now or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I do want to interject now.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think there's that big difference, okay, is I want to help you to a place to being responsible to others, not for others. When you're responsible for others and you're taking on their anxiety, their stress,
right,
that's where you get in and you start fixing and protecting and rescuing, and you start carrying their feelings. And then people that aren't even asking about it, the people who lost their home, you
right,
said it, you feel responsible for instead of to.
Right. I feel responsible for.
And that's
yes.
that big difference. Is it's one word.
I know.
There's a big difference between being responsible for others versus being responsible to others, and that's a hard shift. And it's on this like little graph right here.
So fine.
It is fine. And how do I get over there and get to the to side and not live on the for side? Because when I'm on the for side, and you're a solutions focused person. But you get concerned, okay, what's the solution? You get into the details, the circumstances.
Well, and then when I get the solution and when I get it out there and I communicate it and then somebody texts me and says, hey, what's the info on the game? Long pause, I get angry. I mean, so it leads to anger. And then I look like I've lost my mind when all
bitch.
I've been, yeah, no, not a bitch, like a psycho, Yeah. They're all like, she's lost her fucking mind. Okay,
Yeah.
there it is, the no filter. I mean, they're like, she has gone off the rails. She's yelling at people. She's like, go get your own dadgum information, Go find out yourself, I mean, I get crazy.
But you get responsible for
and
others.
then my heart starts to palpitate again because I get crazy because
and then you get tired, and then you get angry.
Tired, and then I get resentful because I'm like, do you all know how hard I've been working to get this information for? Okay, so it's a terrible cycle.
It's a cycle, and so what you do, what anybody does, I'm not talking just about you, Shannon, is if we really see it as a disease, is you give your power away. You give your power away
Absolutely.
to all these different people.
Yes, I do.
And then having self-care, I like it because you're recognizing, okay, I do struggle with codependency, and this month I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm all for it.
But it has to be intentional. Like I'm just encouraging people, if they are relating to what I'm saying, to be intentional about taking care of yourself. Because
and so where does it stem from? That's the deal. I like these questions that you sent me beforehand.
Yeah.
And so I started really thinking about it and stuff like that. It's like we're getting ready to go on a trip here, and they're going to say, hey, if we lose cabin pressure, put your mask on yourself first.
No, I know. Right.
It's
a great example.
The example is the codependent doesn't put their mask on first.
No, they don't.
they try to take care of everybody else. So self-care is thrown out the door.
Right. And I'm starting to, this kind of just, it hit me last week, but I'm realizing that, we have two boys. And so it's hard to see my personality traits in boys just because they're males, just the simple, male and female. But I see major codependent tendencies in Travis. And I'm not throwing him under the bus because it's up to me to try to recognize it and possibly break the cycle because, he gets very codependent about roommates or,
Hurting
team
people's
members,
feelings.
hurting people's feelings.
And so
or,
here's the deal:
and
is I like that you say that because I don't want to talk about how you were raised, but most of us have wounds from our parents, and you're recognizing it. Hey, I see our oldest son. Maybe he picked up some of this from me.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're recognizing that, but we have
and
to.
I don't know how. You know what I mean? Like I can't pinpoint a time when. But I've obviously modeled that. I've obviously modeled it, but he's been that way also since which leads me to believe it is the way the brain works. That goes to your disease model or whatever. He's kind of born that way. Remember when he was a little boy and we've talked about him feeling so worried about the neighbors that wouldn't let him on his property and he would come get snacks
the cool thing is what I want to encourage people, we've talked about wounds and traumas and stuff like that, is a lot of us don't realize it. It's like, my parents were far from perfect. I'm going to just talk away from that. My mom was 31 years old when she was a widow with 3 boys.
Yeah.
Then she got remarried, but her need to control, her need to do those things, affected me. Her fear of finances, I took that on. I didn't want to blame her because I didn't want to be the bad kid.
Yeah.
But it's not about blame. It's truly about how do I get to a place of recognizing those things happened. My mom made mistakes. My dad made mistakes. My stepdad.
We did focus on family of origin last time, and I don't want to get too bogged down in that because some of us can't even explore our family of origin. You have to look at, right now as far as how your brain works and does things.
You do, but you don't, Shannon. It's because I believe a lot of that codependency comes from the wounds of our parents.
Sure.
And so the messages we give away our power because of the messages we tell ourselves.
I know.
And so
I just
those
want to
messages.
take away the stigma. As far as like, sure, we need to look at all of that, but you don't necessarily have to open up all those wounds to figure out, where it comes from. It just needs to be. I disagree
with you.
Okay.
I disagree with you because I don't think you'll really get healthy until you take ownership of that stuff. I don't think people will get healthy. And we talk about, okay, how you're recognizing your codependency. But you have to go back to, okay, where did that root come from? You were that good little girl, and it wasn't all right for you to say no. It wasn't all right for you. You had to agree.
Well, okay.
And so that
You're
stuff
correct,
plays.
but there's also a lot of, what I am trying to say is that there's a lot of personality. On the Enneagram, I'm a 2. You're an 8. Are you an 8 or a 7?
I'm an 8.
You're an 8, yeah, because Beck's a 7. And Travis is a 3. And so Travis and I are closer together on the Enneagram, and I do think that your brain and your personality and all those things have valid research too.
I don't disagree with that.
So,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I know.
What I am saying though is, if you're unable to, the deal is when we're in our codependent relationship with others, we get in there and we try to take care of others despite our taking care of ourselves.
Yes. Okay,
we are more focused
what
on...
I am saying is that I don't, for somebody like me, okay, because I'm the one that suffers from this. For somebody like me, I have to do a lot of self-discovery, and it starts mainly with, I've done lots of personality test. Myers-Briggs. I'm an ENFJ. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. I think you have to discover a lot about yourself and then work your way into like, oh wait, how is this relating maybe to my family of origin, and how can I, I just feel like you're kind of saying you need to start, you can start there, like pull up all these wounds and then you can figure it out. I think you have to really figure out yourself.
No,
first.
I agree. I think self-awareness is one of the key traits. Is I got to recognize, okay, that's the good thing, is you are self-aware, you are beginning to address these things, you see it. Now where I'm challenging you is to go deeper.
I know,
and
but
so
I just want to
that's-
talk about, I appreciate that, and I think that's fine. What I want to do is have people realize that there's so many more people that suffer from this than even know or admit it, because usually, I mean, for me, my codependency has worked well for me. It's worked in my advantage in a lot of ways. I mean, it's worked okay until it doesn't.
Well, until you get worn out, until you
yes.
get angry, until it comes out
Yes,
sideways.
yes.
It. But here's the deal: is if I like this definition of codependency. Okay, listen to it.
Okay.
Inability to deal with discomfort of others.
Yes.
So we have this inability to deal with the discomfort of others. So we get in there and we try to fix that.
Right.
In order to fix ourselves. Because it's that inability to deal with the discomfort of others, because we're uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable.
Right.
So I get in there and I fix them to fix myself.
Right.
And some people don't want fixing.
No,
that's the crazy
they don't want
thing.
Fixing, but they also don't understand
I'm talking
where
about
I'm coming from,
Yes.
or whatever. Like if I get all spinning out, like I can, then I have people say, well, that's not your responsibility. Blow it off. Just don't answer. Even just don't answer. And I'm like, okay, in fact, that's what I ended up when you said last night, how come it gives you anxiety and blah, blah, blah. And then I went upstairs and I kind of thought and did some things. And then I came back downstairs and I said, it gives me anxiety because that's the way my brain works. And so I have to
hold on.
retrain my brain.
Dave, we're on our podcast right now. Dave's just texted us on our podcast.
Oh gosh. Okay. Will you please?
We're talking about codependency.
Yes.
And you got to go.
And you're codependent for answering the phone.
I saw he was FaceTiming. See.
So anyway, we're going to talk about ADD soon.
Yes, we will.
Oh my God. But so with the self-awareness, I mean, I think you have to treat it medically, emotionally, and physically. The codependency.
You missed one big one.
And spiritually.
Spiritually is key because
Yes.
here's the deal.
I guess I was including that in the emotional. That would be it
is
for me. That's kind of the core of the emotional healing. But thank you for calling me out. On
no
that.
no
But-
problem. But I say that yes, medically, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Go ahead.
I think that, and see, you've seen my notes, so you know what I'm saying. But because these are notes that I took, because I think that self-awareness can maintain privacy. I think people are so worried about the stigma of mental health issues, whether it be OCD, codependency, ADD, depression. I mean, it's widely talked about that there are still stigmas with all of that. And people don't want to admit that they might,
Be codependent,
or have
depressed, or
just
anxiety.
have a problem. They just.
Well, and that's
And
where,
especially
but with self-awareness.
But
let
me finish. Let
okay.
me finish.
Okay.
So, what I'm saying with self-awareness is that I'm encouraging people to understand that they can still have privacy in their own search for answers to take care of themselves. My main goal is that I want people to recognize these things and take care of themselves. And so they can still have privacy while discovering these things. But I think people live in secrecy. They don't admit it. They just shut their brains off.
So let me ask you this question. I agree with you
Yeah.
110%. How come people live in secrecy? Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, I know what you want me to say, so.
What do I
But I
want
don't
you
know
to
if
say?
the family of origin.
Well, I don't even know if it's family of origin. It's
What do you, then just say it. Don't ask me the question.
okay, but those are good questions to ask oneself.
I know,
And so self-awareness is like, yes, man, you don't need to wear around the scarlet letter COD for codependent, and stuff like that is what you're saying. You
Right.
don't need to go
No,
announce,
right.
all those things. But the deal is self-awareness is key. I agree with you. But the self-awareness is we got to get to a place where we can have, self-love. A lot of people struggle with that. Self-love is developed early, and so if we didn't get that self-love early, and really understand that is going to manifest itself in our adult self, and so the deal is where did we get that? Did we have some of those wounds or stuff like that? It might not even be family of origin. It could be childhood at school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like those things. As kids, little kids are highly sensitive. I like, what is it, Walnut Hill Elementary
Yes.
principal
Oh,
goes, man,
sweet.
I hope my students want to come back to school, because little kids are scared of that tornado.
Right.
Now,
Well,
there was a
because-
high school that was destroyed, Thomas Jefferson. They're not as concerned about that, because those kids, okay, we're going to another school.
Right.
They're older. They have abstract thought.
But these elementary school kids, exactly,
are
so impressionable, and they're like, what happened to my school is what they say can always happen in tornadoes, but,
Yes.
but never really does. Like, you hide in the closet and nothing really ever happens, except it did happen to their school.
And so
They weren't there,
That's
thank
that
God,
place of
but-
concrete thought when we're in that development stage.
Right.
We don't really get abstract thought until our teens, so we
Right.
don't have that ability to think abstractly that it probably won't happen.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
again, it's not, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place.
Right.
And so the deal
But
is,
I also think, sorry, go ahead.
what I'm saying is I agree with self-awareness. Sometimes the best thing of self-awareness is doing what you're doing, but then add in a gratitude list. What can I be grateful for?
Well, yeah,
Having those kind of things on a daily basis.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of good things. And it's like that cheesy Stuart Smalley that would say, look at himself in the mirror.
Yes.
And they went to the extreme with it, but that's good stuff.
Yes, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Yes.
So also, I just wanted to say that. So it's very hard. The reason, remember when I said I just long for the good old days, where people can't get in touch with you and everything, because that would help my codependence so much. I mean, that's like taking an alcoholic out of a bar, because if you take technology and everything away from me, oh my God, people can't get in touch with me. And that's awesome, because then I don't have to be codependent for anybody. I don't have to be responsible for anybody. But I think that has increased. I think that's one of the reasons that depression and anxiety,
Panic attacks.
I
mean, all
suicide
those
rates, everything has skyrocketed lately, is because of the technology and the social media and the email and the immediate gratification and everybody wanting up to the second information about everything. And I think that's adding to it. And so as an old fogey now, I'm getting up there, I am now having to put that in my wheelhouse of self-awareness, so that every day when I'm challenging myself on who I'm reaching out to, like, I know that the second we wrap this up, I'm going to open up my phone and I'm going to have
But at the
either
same
some
time,
fires to put out or not to put out. I'm going to have to figure it out.
But on that
know?
self-care, you could go, I'm not going to look at my phone
That's
for
right.
the rest of the day.
That's right.
And
I have been-
that's that craving that the alcoholic gets.
Yes.
Is like, can they do that? That's where having a community. That's where I love the 12 steps, because you can apply those steps also to codependency. You can begin to go, okay, what are my shortcomings? My shortcoming is I'm going to pick up this phone and look and see what's going on right there. And so I agree with that. You talk about social media. I was meeting with someone earlier today, and he private messaged a girl from his church, and he saw that she read the message.
Right. Yes.
And so it created anxiety, but she did not respond.
Right.
And he built up, he gave his power away. He built up this whole facade. So, with social media, we can give our power away with responses or with no responses. And so we assume things, are
Well, yeah.
that way, and then we build up this this message, this narrative,
Yes.
that might not even be true.
But we also believe what other people say. Like if you get on a social media site and they're like, did this happen? And then people are like, well, I heard this, I heard that, I heard this. And then everybody's taking it all as bits and pieces of truth. And
so
that's a codependent nightmare.
yes, but my deal is how we help people get to, okay, what's on my side of the street. So if you
Right.
are struggling with codependency, that I love, from my own recovery, is there's a saying, pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or direction. But if I focus on what's on my side of the street and I really pause, is this my side of the street? Because I can build up a case why I need to respond, to
Yes.
those emails or
Right.
this Facebook post or that stuff. And then if you really ask yourself, do I really need to respond to that?
Right.
Is begin asking I like that self-dialogue.
Right.
And begin some of those things, but then have some people in your life that can go, and it's probably not your husband, but
No.
Shannon needs some other people in her life to go, you don't need to respond.
Right. And I have that now, I feel,
and
but yeah.
begin doing those things as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And so that's what occurs. But learning that self-care is tough because
Yes.
we can frame up taking care of others as self-care.
Right. And if I look at, someone that struggles with alcohol, in my head, I think, how can they not just give up drinking for a few weeks? Like, I'm making the comparison of, I've already relapsed in my codependency, and I just started kind of trying to intentionally really work on it October 1st. And I've already, it's the same as saying, why can't you just not drink? It's like, why can't you just not be codependent?
Or respond to that email.
Right,
Or
or that's
do
what I mean.
this,
Yeah,
or do
but-
that.
yeah.
It's harder because we need that sense of community. We need people to be truthful to us.
Well, and it's hard to, when you read the real negative talk about codependency, it's hard to take, and it's also hard for me to. I still am a little stubborn about some of it because it'll say, codependents just have this, need for people to need them, and I don't necessarily feel like I need people to need me. But maybe I do. I don't know. But,
I like that you're wrestling with it.
yeah, I mean,
I like that you're asking yourself those questions.
but I don't like to read. I think people, when they read, signs of a codependent, they don't like the negative ones, or I don't.
Yeah, but if you
So you don't really wanna look at it,
if you look at addiction, like your analogy of, hey, an alcoholic just don't drink. Addiction, most people with addiction, and I believe codependency is an addiction, is that person thinks they can control, if it's the substance or control their codependency. That's really the heart of addiction. So
Yeah.
you think you can control it. So the alcoholic, you just tell them not to drink. They think they can control it. I'm just going to have a
Right.
couple.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to get sucked in and give my power away and get angry and bitter and become a bitch or any of those things. That's not your intent.
Right,
When
no.
you're out there helping.
Right.
And so that's the big
About to sneeze.
that's the big misconception. Your brain becomes hardwired. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff. But I still like that codependency, and the inability to deal with the discomfort of others.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And
Yeah.
it's so ingrained in who I am that I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, but
Because I don't like perfect strangers to be uncomfortable.
I like that you're wrestling with it. I go, yeah, I like when you say it's so ingrained, and so it's like, okay, so the next step, and maybe we need to do another episode, how we go down that path of how we give our power away, and then how to come up with some key tools, and some, like a prescription of how to begin to not give your power away. And to get away from those old messages of that's who I am. I love it. I've been sober a long time, but I work with men that, are just getting sober at my age and older.
Yeah.
And it's been ingrained in them to drink.
Right.
But they
it's just
too
so hard
can
because
get
I work with so many women that
are codependent.
that are codependent and they have no idea. They have
Yes.
no idea.
They're
Honestly.
flaming codependents.
Yeah, but they have no idea.
Yes, and I like what alcoholics, when you look at it, the delusion has to be smashed. Most alcoholics have no idea they're alcoholic.
Well, and I didn't know either until, God, I think, had a plan for me to have physical manifestations of things. I mean, I got sick, and I truly think that it made me sick. But,
Yes.
So.
But I like this topic. I like that you're, it's all right. Here's the other thing, if anybody can take away from today's episode, is it's all right to wrestle. It's all right to go and get help. I go back to what Miles said, people don't need counseling, they deserve it.
Right. Yes, yes.
If you need it, you don't need counseling, you deserve it.
Right.
You deserve to, have some freedom in your life, not be in bondage to taking care of others.
Right. Yes.
I like that it's all right to wrestle through this process and learn more about yourself.
Right.
So I appreciate your honesty and vulnerability.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it pans out the rest of this week.
Yes, but the deal is, I want to encourage you to take those times where not to respond.
And I have already. You wouldn't believe.
Well, and I told you back in May when you set a boundary and you didn't get sucked into going and getting stuff for our buddy's 50th birthday. I said, man, that was a turn on to me.
Yeah.
Because you said no.
Yes.
And I liked it when every other woman said yes, and even one got stuff and didn't even show up.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's the good stuff. So thank you for this episode, and until next time, Filter Optional
Happy
will be
homecoming.
back. Happy Hoco Woodrow. 90th Hoco.